All right, guys. Today we have Wrex Lindsay from Cozy with us today. How you doing, Rex?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast. Super excited to hear about Cozy, what you guys are doing, what you guys are doing different. Just diving right into it. We'd love to hear a little bit more about Cozy. Um, you know, Starting from the beginning, how did Cozy come to be? From your career coming to that point.
Yeah, I guess to make a long story short, when I first started the business, about 10 years ago, we started doing solar. That's actually what brought me down to the Phoenix area. I grew up in Utah. Um, and, um, we started doing solar. We built out actually a pretty decent sized company doing solar and grew a nice team that way. But as the industry started to change and as um, there's different you know buybacks with the utilities and things like that, we started to offer like energy efficiency upgrades, what we offer now. So that was kind of the first iteration of Cozy. We were operating under a different name at the time, um, but that's what got us into doing insulation and doing ductwork. And over time, as the solar industry changed, we just kind of let that, this is kind of a long story made short, but we kind of let that phase off, and we just started to focus really only on energy efficiency and making the home more efficient, and making homes more comfortable and healthier inside the home. And so that's kind of how Cozy came about. Is we started off offering solar, we started offering the energy efficiency upgrades, and then um, we we just kind of went full into that. We saw a niche that was not very competitive, but that had huge demand, and the demand keeps growing. And we wanted to take advantage of that, and um, so that's where we are. That's where we're at today. Is we offer you know insulation services anywhere from removal to adding more insulation, sealing the attic, sealing ductwork, replacing ductwork. We do some HVAC replacement. So anything that really you know uh, the, the three kind of things that we're targeting is energy efficiency, indoor comfort, and indoor air quality. And if it fits into that, we want to look at it. We want to that doesn't mean we'll offer every single product that falls in line with that, but if it fits in that, into making homes more efficient, more comfortable, and healthier, then we're going to take a look at that product and see if it fits into our overall vision as a company, and see if it's something we want to grow with and continue to pursue. That makes any sense, but
Yeah, no, totally. I'm in Utah, pretty hot. Arizona, I mean, I just imagine is a desert, even hotter. Is that, trying to help people stay cool and specifically lowering their electricity bill? Is that kind of like those pain points that people are really looking for?
yeah. So I mean, in the summer here, it's not uncommon for a home to have a $500-600 power bill. Um, I mean, the winters are not too bad, but in the summer, seeing $500-600 a month is pretty common. And so there's a lot of pain there when it comes to energy bills, and wanting to get that lowered, because it is a big expense every month for homeowners. But then again, the comfort, right? Like when I first moved down here to Arizona, the only thing that was going to keep me here is if I could stay comfortable, especially in the summer. I mean, I've gotten more acclimated to the temperatures, and it's not as hard on me as it used to be. But when I'm home, I want to be comfortable. So we help with those you know those things, the indoor air quality and the indoor comfort, and just saving on power bills.
And I'm sure it varies like house to house, person to person, but when you guys are talking to these homes, what kind of savings do you typically see in their power bill? If they're hitting $600 and they go through you guys, what could they expect?
Well, the Department of Energy, with insulation claims, you could save up to 20% on your energy bills. That's just insulation and sealing your attic. Then you add, um, you know, fixing the leaks in the ductwork. You're looking at maybe another 10 to 15% there. And obviously this is all based on their situation, right? Sometimes we go to a home and yeah, there's areas that we can help them, but it's not that bad. And then we'll go to like older homes where they have 1 inch of insulation up in their attic and their ductwork's falling apart. And those homes we could probably save 50, 60% on their power bill. In an average home, we're probably looking at 20 to 25% if, depending on what we do and, you know, what type of budget the homeowner's looking at working with. So there is a big range there, but if you're kind of doing the core products and the core services that we offer, 25, 30% is a pretty standard saving.
Okay. And the cool thing about the services, at least what I'm picking up, is since they're able to save money, it's like an investment, but they're probably making that money back pretty quickly, if I'm guessing right.
Yeah, they definitely can, and that's we pitch on that. We pitch on ROI and home value, but really the thing that we really sell is just you have a home, and a lot of times you have a family, right? And it's just like if you're going to your home and you're just not feeling comfortable in your home, like is that really a home? If you're stressing out about your power bills every every month, like I don't know, I always felt that your home, that's kind of a haven. You want to, you go home to relax and to not feel stressed. And if your home is stressing you out, then I don't know. It's just I don't think your home should ever be stressing you out. And so that's really kind of what the message that we want to give to homeowners is go home, feel comfortable, get your power bills as low as they can. Yeah, you can increase your home value. You can, the cost of the investment a lot of times is outweighed by the savings. But really, the message that we really want to send is like, this is your home. Be comfortable and don't be stressed when you're here. And so I don't know. We'll touch on ROI. We'll touch on home value. We go over all that. But I think the big message is that our tagline is home is better cozy, and we truly believe that. Like if you can be cozy in your home and not have a lot of stress from your home, then I think that's a better life. So
I really like how you focus, less on those, gritty numbers and more on the experience that they're going to have, the emotions it's going to bring. I'm curious, once they get everything done, whole process is done, they have that results. I'm curious how Cozy is bringing in great customer experience kind of during the process. What do you guys do to stand out among your competition in terms of getting people these needs?
so first of all, we try to keep our scheduling process really tight. So like when we have a customer that wants to move forward um, with our solutions, we want to make sure that we're getting that project done within a week is what we try to target. Sometimes it gets a little longer than that, but we want to make sure that we're getting in there, we're getting the job done as quick as possible. So that's one. We're not letting them wait 1, 2 months before we can even come and do the job. We have everything that we offer from a workmanship standpoint. We do a lifetime warranty. We want to make sure that um, when it comes to the workmanship of it. Now, the product itself, that has its own warranties that come with it, but our install, I believe, should be warranted for a lifetime. If we did a bad install, then we need to make sure it's fixed. So that's the second thing. Another thing that we really um, highlight is we're one of the few Pearl certified contractors in Arizona. Basically what that means is every job that they get or every job that we do, we certify it through Pearl certification. They're a nationally recognized company, and they have all types of affiliations with the Department of Energy, Energy Star, and just a lot of well-known organizations. And so we'll put in their project with Pearl certification, and it gives them an actual certification. So it tells them exactly that we've done all this work, that it's certified. Whenever they do go to sell that home in the future, that certification, I think Pearl, on average, the average home with Pearl increases in value by 4.72%. That was the last number I heard. It could be slightly different than that now, but so that's another big thing is just some of these extra things that we offer as just part of our solution. It's not There's no extra costs. It's just this is what we do with all of our homeowners. We're very, we show before and after pictures. We send them before and after pictures on all of our projects, and then we just have a good team that communicates with the homeowners, and just tries to make the process really smooth the whole all along the way. So those are just a few things that we do to, I guess, stand out, and we're constantly improving on that. In fact, I just sent one of my partners a list of we call it Operation Little Things. So here's the little things that we can be doing better in the company that are going to make us that much better of a company. And a lot of them we're already doing. There's some that we're not, and as we start implementing these little things that maybe we're not doing, hopefully that just makes us stand out even more amongst our competition. And as we grow, as we continue to grow, we want to make sure that we have those systems in place to really make our customers happy, and give them the best service that we possibly can. I think we're doing the big things really well, but the little things, there's always these little things, these little tweaks that we can make to make that process even smoother. So
And it's great to see how focused you guys are on those processes. Not only are they really great, but they're always improving over time. At least from what I've seen, when you got a really great product and service, the people tend to just come. Do you guys feel like you get a lot of referrals and things that way, or how have you seen that?
yeah, so we get a decent amount of referrals from our customers, and that's actually something that we can do better at, as far as really working with our homeowners and getting more referrals from them. But we do get a lot of referrals just naturally from our customers. Um, but I think we could do better at that, if I'm being honest with you. And I don't know. I think just the personal touch that we have too. Like you're always talking to a person. You're never like we don't have automated, you know, calls and things like that where they get lost in the shuffle. And we do quite a bit of volume, and so I don't know. I think the personal touch is really what you know gives us an edge, and we answer our calls, we answer our emails, and we're gonna even get better at that as we grow. And that's part of that list I sent to my partner. It's like, hey, like we need to be even quicker to responses. If someone has an issue, we need to be quicker at resolving those issues. I think we're doing a good job now, but I think we can do better. So
You know, Listen to this and transitioning more to the inside of the business. You guys are getting good referrals. I mean, always we're going to work on that. But how else are you guys finding homeowners to offer these services to?
most of our customer acquisition comes through online ads. So you know, we're in our space. We're probably one of the first. We're one of the pioneers with like Facebook, lead generation and Instagram, TikTok, things like that. So we have a pretty good social media presence, but we do a lot of paid ads to get the message out there. Because a lot of times, like the attic is one of those things that it's out of sight, out of mind, and you kind of have to address certain issues and certain pain points that homeowners might be experiencing to really get their mind open to wanting to take a look at their attic. So we do a lot of paid ads to at least drive in that lead, and then from there you know we're contacting that lead within 5 minutes, and we're offering a free inspection. So we'll go out there, offer a free inspection, and based on what we find, we'll offer a solution for them. So that's where most of our customers come from. Yeah, we have referrals, and we'll have people that just find us on Google, but most of our lead generation comes through paid ads through Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. So
A lot of companies, especially service-based ones, are typically, a little scared to move in to the paid ad space in terms of, the meta ads, Facebook, Instagram, and so forth. Was that something that, when you guys started that, did you find instant success, or was it more of a build-up, or what was that like for you guys?
well, so that kind of goes back to the initial question you asked me of how we got into this business, how Cozy started. So I told you we were doing solar, and solar, we grew up a whole business off of solar, and then we started offering energy efficiency, and then COVID hit, and so with solar we did a lot of door to door. We built out door to door teams, and we had a lot of salespeople out in the field, just hitting the pavement. And then kind of COVID came around, and the doors, you know, whether it was the sales rep more apprehensive to hit the doors or customers not wanting to answer their doors, we kind of started looking for other ways to generate leads. And when we first started to get into the meta advertising game, uh, we were we started with solar, and there was a lot of other companies doing it at the time, and it was working. I mean, we were getting business from it, but we're like, I wonder if the original plan was, how about we do ads for insulation, and then when we get to their home, we sell them on insulation, but then we kind of backdoor and offer solar while we're there. And that was kind of the original plan, but that transformed into just like, hey, like we have a product that's in demand that people want, and I don't really want to bait and switch customers. I've never liked that myself, so I don't really want to do that to the homeowners. Um, so let's just go all in on this and build this part of our business. And yeah, we actually did have pretty quick success with it. And when we first started doing it, we were offering insulation removal, um, and then we were like, well, let's add insulation removal, because that's a lot of customers asked about removing the old insulation, and that's another thing here in Phoenix. There wasn't a lot of companies that did insulation removal, but I would go to conferences. I'd go to conferences back east, and there were other companies that were doing insulation removal, and they were doing well with it. And so I'm like, let's bring that out to Phoenix, and let's start removing people's insulation so that we can completely seal their attic. And then we just kind of give them the whole package. And so we really started, going down that road, and that started growing really fast for us. And solar was kind of going the other way. And we finally just said, you know what, let's go all in on this. And we kind of just let solar, fade away over time. And so now this is what we do. So this is a lot easier business than solar. There's a lot less moving parts. Um, so I guess from a scalability standpoint, um, this business is a lot easier to scale as well. no business is easy. This one's easier.
That's true. That's true. I'm curious as you talk about this transition from solar to these other products. Those who know are familiar with the solar industry, when it comes to pricing, it kind of vary house to house, even rep to rep. So I'm curious, how did you guys determine your pricing for, the insulation and the lining and windows and things like that to really, boost your profitability? What was that process like for you guys?
Yeah, so I mean, and pricing does vary eh, from homeowner to homeowner because of different homes and some homes are more complex than others, and some homes need this and not doesn't need that. So there is some variation of pricing even now because we don't offer just a one size fits all solution. We want to go there. We want to really identify their problems, and we want to offer a solution that hits those problems. But the way that we determine our pricing was pretty simple. Obviously we have our marketing costs, and that's marketing can get really expensive. We have sales commissions that we pay, and we pay a flat sales commission as far as a flat percentage. And then we have, depending on the service, we have the materials and labor. And then from there, we want to make sure that we have enough margin in that product. I In order to cover marketing commissions um, and still in overhead and still end up with a 15 to 20% net profit, we found that we need to have at least a 50% growth. We try to get more on depending on it really depends on the service, but really we're looking at a 50% gross margin so that by the time that all the costs are come out, that we're looking at a 15 to 20% net at the end of the day. So that's kind of how we determine our pricing, and obviously, every product is different. Some products we have 45% gross. Some products we have 60%. So we gotta factor in, what the competition and what the market can handle, but also we need to, at the end of the day, we need to make our margins so that we can stay healthy as a company. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's interesting how you guys really work from the bottom up. I feel like a lot of companies start with what's the competition doing? Okay, let's, make it a little cheaper, offer it a little better in some way or form. But you guys really broke it down, kind of found that almost like that lowest point of, that lowest price you could offer. What is that balance between, the gross, the net profit and the competition? How do you balance those two?
You know, I that's a great question because I don't really focus too much on the competition as far as what their pricing is. I mean, we have competition that's a little bit more than us with their pricing. We have competition that's a lot less than us, and the ones that are a lot less than us are, one, first of all, they're usually not offering the same service. As so on paper, their solution looks less than us, but we're doing a lot more typically. But a lot of times the companies that are less as far as pricing goes, they're or a lot less, I should say, or they're very small companies that don't have overhead, that they don't have marketing costs, they don't pay sales commissions, so they're just from a pricing standpoint, it's hard to compete with those companies. But from an overall experience standpoint, it's pretty easy to compete with those. So I don't really focus too much on what others are offering as long as we're in somewhat of the ballpark, as long as the market is able to you know handle the pricing that we're offering, then that's kind of where um, I'm fine with that. I don't mind if we're a little more expensive on things, um, because I know the type of experience that we can give. And then when it comes to marketing, we're just getting out in front of so many more people that you know, we're going to win business just because of the volume that you know, the scale of our presence. So I don't know if that answers your question at all, but yeah, there's pricing's all over the board as it is in every single home service business that I've looked at and that I've been involved in. And so I try to not let that be a factor too much into our pricing, how we determine pricing. At the end of the day, we're running a company. We have to make money. We have to make a healthy enough margin to continue to grow. And so our pricing is based on that. Like, I think a healthy company needs to make a minimum of 15%. I'd like 20%. I'd like more than 20% at the end of the day, but I think a healthy company should be at minimum 15% net margin. And as long as we're there, you know, around that area, then that's where we need to put our pricing at. And then one thing that sets us apart as well is, like, I've always had this philosophy, and maybe I'm the inventor of it, maybe I'm not, but I've always told my teams, it's like, we want to be the orange, we don't want to be the apple. And where I've come up with that is, you know, you'll hear, well, I want to get an apples to apples quote. Well, if we're not an apple, then we can't be that other apples to apples quote, right? We're the orange, the other companies are apples. And so we're constantly innovating just our product stack and what you know, how we approach our customers, so that when our customers do try to go and shop around and get other quotes, they're not finding the exact same thing that we offer. And that's helped us win a lot of business. We've got a lot of customers are like, well, they offered it, you know, they gave us this price for doing this, but you guys are offering so much more for this price. And we're like, yeah, we're offering this because this is what you need. This is really what's gonna make your home operate better. Yeah, will just adding insulation help? Yes, that'll help. Will just sealing your ducts help? Yes, that'll help. But let's come up with a solution that's gonna really help. That's gonna cover all the things that you're experiencing, and not just one or two things. We want to make sure that we're addressing every pain point that the homeowner is experiencing. So
I really love that apples to orange thing you're saying, because I feel like a lot of companies, and you know, you included, you guys spend a lot of time, effort, and well, money improving the customer experience, making it special, like doing a really good job. But then it's like, how can you show that you guys are a high-end service? And you sounds like you did that wonderfully by, you know, your presentation, by your explanation of showing like, hey, you know, we're just a different type of company. You know, we're this orange. No way to compare it against the apples.
yeah,
Um,
we're not an insulation company. We're a home performance company, and so we're gonna come and offer a solution that makes your home perform better. We're not just giving you more insulation to give you more insulation, even though you probably need more insulation. We're going to make sure that, and if that's all you need, if insulation's all you need, everything else looks good, then that's the solution that we're going to offer. But most of the time, there's a lot more going on than just adding more insulation to the home.
yeah,
So we want to be holistic from that standpoint. Like, hey, let's come look at it. Let's really understand the issues, and then let's provide a solution that can handle that. So
well, sweet. I think we've got an amazing layout of, you know, what you guys are doing, how you guys are helping people, and you know, what you've specifically done to make things run in the back end. You know, you mentioned scalability previously, so before we wrap up, I'd love to talk about the future of Cozy, what you guys are looking to do. So I guess, you know, straight off the bat, what type of growth are you guys trying to achieve in the next, let's say, just a year?
the next year we would like to be in at least one other market. We got our eyes set on Dallas. So you know, to make a long story short, we've been in Dallas before. We had a lot of success out there. We had to make a few adjustments and pull out of some of the other markets that we were in, and we're ready to go back out there. So in the next year we'd like to be in Dallas. That'll probably happen in the next 6 months. In the next 5 years, we want to be in a total of at least 5 markets. And usually these are major metropolitan areas. So Dallas, Houston, Phoenix, maybe Las Vegas. Um, so we're still kind of determining, what markets should we go after first. But one thing that I've changed my philosophy on a little bit is, when I was younger and I won't say more ambitious, I'm just wiser now. I'm 37 now. So, but when I was in my early 20s, when I first started, businesses, um, I just wanted to grow as fast as we can and geographically and have our footprint everywhere. And you don't know what you don't know. And so, you just kind of, that's just the ambition that I had. And now that I've experienced, owning a business, and I've experienced, you know, losses, and we've had to change things and do things different. And I just have a lot more knowledge that I want to be, I want to have our roots before we look to really grow into other markets. I want to have our roots pretty deep in the markets that we're already in. So right now we're in Phoenix. We do some stuff in Tucson, and we have a good foundation here. We have our roots pretty deep here, and now we're looking to take that next step into going into another market. Dallas, we know Dallas. We understand the homes in Dallas. We know the demand out there, and so that's where we're looking at. And also, one of my partners is moving out there, so that's definitely a factor that helps. But um, you know, that's why we're looking to grow in Dallas. But we want to have our roots deep, not so deep that that's only where we're going to be, but deep enough to where we're stable. We have a good foundation, and it's like, okay, let's go do the same thing here, and and once we have our roots down and things are going well, then let's go do the same thing here. And then eventually that can start snowballing a little bit, where we have enough stability and deep enough roots in you know several different markets that we can, like, okay, we're ready to maybe take on a couple around the same time. But we want to make sure that we have a strong base, a strong foundation as a company before we just start trying to take over um, the world with, geographically, I should say, um, to have operations in 50 different cities when maybe we're only doing $1 million a year. Yeah, we want to be doing a minimum of 5, 6, 7 million in a market before we're like, okay, let's go somewhere else. Just to have that I guess that foundation and those roots. So
Yeah, I feel like a lot of companies they don't grow those roots. They try to expand super fast, as you say, and then maybe it's their marketing that breaks, their customer management breaks. There's like all these different parts of a business that you have to scale. I'm curious, as you say, hopefully in the next 6 months you're going to move into another market. What do you feel like is going to be the first thing that will break on your guys? Is there, if you try to do it today, what wouldn't go well, and what are you doing to try to improve those systems?
well, the hardest thing, and the one advantage of Dallas is we do have some history there, and we know what we can accomplish out there. But the hardest thing about business, at least in my opinion, is just acquiring good talent. So that's always, making sure that we have good project managers and we have good, honest, ethical salespeople, that can that can go into a home and they can understand the issues that are at hand, and they can present a solution that actually helps the homeowner. So, we have a lot of training in place to help people, to help new employees understand those issues, and obviously there's a period of time where we're really walking them through, and we're going out to appointments with them, and we're really kind of holding their hands to understand the business as a whole and really what we're offering. But it. That's still the hardest part, at least for me. Is just having the right people on the bus. Um, it's my favorite part if we do have the right people. It's also my least favorite part if we have the wrong people. And and just to kind of go back to what you were talking about, a lot of people, without having that foundation, they grow too fast and then they get caught. I've been there. I've been caught before, right? And that's where maybe some of my thoughts and my philosophy has changed a little bit. I've grown too fast before, where we had to pull back a little bit, and where you're taking on debt to grow, um, and then all of a sudden maybe there's a you know maybe there's a decision in Washington, or maybe there's the economy's not doing great, and so like you dip a little bit, and then you're like, oh crap, I'm not making any money. So that's why it's important to have those roots, at least where I'm at now in my life. I want to make sure that we have a stable foundation. But you know, with your last question, for me, it's the people at the company will make or break it, you know, and so that's usually always the first part that breaks. If we have the wrong person, um, at least helping our efforts into expansion, um, it could be a rough little ride at the beginning. So um, I think our systems are pretty good. Not saying they're perfect, but they're good enough to be able to handle everywhere that we grow into. Um, but if we don't have the right people, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, totally makes sense. And well, thanks again, Rex, for coming on and sharing us not only about your company, but some really great insights into businesses as a in general. I'm curious, before we end off, is there anything else you feel like it'd be really good for either the customers to know about the business, or even businesses as a whole when it comes to scaling?
Yeah, I mean, I'm when I, if there's anybody listening to this that is wanting to start a business or already in business, like I guess where the businesses that I like are the ones they're simple businesses. I mean, no business is easy, but they're simple businesses that have big demand, and you know can scale. And that's like the business that we're in right now. It's a simple business. There's not a lot of moving parts. We offer a service and we provide that service. We don't need permitting. We don't need plans. We don't need any of that. Like solar, we had to have all that. But we have a service that customers want, and we go and do that service. And um, so I guess if you're looking to get into business, that would be my feedback. Is like, you know, find a business that has good demand, that is simple, and that can get more complicated over time if you want it to. But that's simple, and that's going to be the lowest barrier to entry into business is having a simple business but a high demand business, and that's what we're doing right now. Um, and our business, the demand's only going to get more, bigger, because energy prices are always they're not going to go down anytime soon. They're always going to go up. People are more conscious about their health. That's always going to go up. Um, and a lot of people are working from home now, so they want to be comfortable when they're at home working. So there's just a lot of things coming together with our specific industry that's going to continue to increase the demand. But there's a lot of different industries like that. It's not just home performance. There's a lot of different industries that um, have increasing demand, and that are not very complicated businesses. And so um, I don't know who's listening to this, but that would be my advice. Is just, if you're nervous about getting into business, or you're tired of what you're currently doing because there's too many moving parts, it's like find something simple, not easy, simple, and grow that, because your life's going to be a lot less stressful, and you're going to be able to grow that business a lot easier. So
Well, we'll go ahead and end it there. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Be sure to check out Rex, whether it's on LinkedIn or even the company itself. I'll add the link to the company in the description. Be sure to check it out, see exactly what you're doing, and learn even more from Rex and his companies you can. So thanks for coming on today, Rex.
yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course. And we'll see you guys on the next episode.